Hey Andre, we've just got some breaking news that I think you guys are going to be really interested in, and that is because the IIHS Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus list has been announced, and there are, Andre, 57 cars, distinct models, that have earned one of those two top ratings. But there's also some interesting news, and that is out of all those cars,
only one is an American brand.
Yeah, so strap yourself in because we're going to give you all of the cars that made the Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus. So if safety is important to you and your family, these are the cars that you're going to want to look at in terms of purchasing. But before we do that, Andre, let's kind of talk about how the IIHS ranks and rates their cars, because it's all about crash testing, but it's gotten much more difficult, hasn't it?
It has. Every year they're increasing the standards, and this is the Insurance Institute, basically. Yep. So they care about safety, obviously, because it's also related to insurance. So for 2019, the IIHS raised the bar for testing and qualifications once again. And here is basically their test categories. There's small overlap front, there's moderate overlap front, but for 2019 they're also adding passenger side requirement. There's side impact, roof strength, basically whether there's a press trying to squish a car and determine the force which it takes to squish, head restraints, and there's also front crash prevention, and this is driver assistance technologies like adaptive cruise control, pedestrian detection, and actually brake assist. And then there's, of course, the headlights, which is a recent test they just recently added within the last couple of years. And this is pretty extensive testing about how the headlights move in turns, how they illuminate without blinding oncoming traffic. So this is a very extensive testing.
Yeah, then they separate the cars into classes: mini cars, small cars, mid-size luxury cars, large luxury cars, small SUVs, minis, vans, and convertibles. And by the way, the minivan is the only American vehicle that made this list. And Andre, they've been doing this a long time. In fact, when I was a reporter in Washington, D.C., when I was in my 20s, I actually covered this story. And back in the day, they really only had a few different ratings, right? Good, acceptable, marginal, and poor. And now they've upped their game. They've increased the testing, and they've increased the top safety picks. So Andre, let's talk about what cars did what.
Yeah, so 27 cars had the second tier or top safety pick. And IHS does this, the top safety standard, so you don't have to look at all the crash tests if you don't want to. You can just kind of look at their top ratings. And this is their second tier rating. And for mini cars, we have Hyundai and Kia coming out on top here with Accent and Rio sedan. And for small cars, we also got a lot of Hyundai and Kia. So there's a trend here developing. The Elantra GT, the Ioniq, including the plug-in, the Kia Soul, Nissan Kicks is here, and Toyota Corolla hatchback as far as small cars are concerned. So these are basically Korean and Japanese makes.
Yeah, Asian vehicles. And let's keep in mind one thing, that not all cars have been tested, right? There are something like 275 models available in the US in 2017, and this represents the testing that they have done to date. But important cars like the Fusion and the Mustang were tested, American cars, and they did not make the list. So let me go over the small cars, actually small SUVs that were tested. The BMW X2 made top safety pick, Honda CR-V, Hyundai Tucson, Mazda CX-3, Mitsubishi Outlander, Subaru Forester, and these are very popular small SUVs. So these are the cars that you guys are buying. And the one that's really interesting, of course, is the Honda CR-V. That's one of the best-selling cars in America, and didn't quite make the top safety pick plus, but it did make the safety pick.
Yeah, and let's talk about midsize sedans, because these are still really popular, and the Accord and the Altima, the new one, are actually here on the second tier results. Then there's luxury cars, and they separate those separately. Audi A3, A4, and Mercedes-Benz C-Class. BMW is not here, noteworthy. Minivans. There you go, boom, Chrysler Pacifica is here.
Put a circle around it, Andre, because that's the only American vehicle that made this entire list. Now, once again, just because the BMW is not there doesn't mean it hasn't been tested, so maybe it's that reason for it, or maybe it's up here on the better list, so let's not jump to conclusions until we get to the end of the list. In terms of mid-size SUVs, these are also very popular. The Honda Pilot made it, the Hyundai Santa Fe XL, new, Mazda CX-9, one of my favorites, Nissan Pathfinder, and of course the Toyota Highlander, which is actually on our top 10 best-selling cars list. And if you guys come back this weekend, we're going to be publishing a list of the losers and winners this year. In other words, the top and worst-selling cars, and a lot of these are on that list. And finally, boom, large car.
Kia Cadenza is on this second tier list. So let's move on to the top tier safety, top safety pick plus, which is the highest rating that IHS gives.
The track is ready, you can begin your run.
Yeah, and there were 30 cars that made that plus list, and that is pretty incredible because in order to make that, Andre, you have to not only pass all of these safety tests, right, but your headlights have to be good. And then the newest test that they've been doing is that passenger overlap. So they used to do driver overlap, right, where they would run into a barrier on the driver's side, and then the manufacturers upped their game, and now they start doing it for the passenger. And last year that knocked a lot of cars out, as did the headlights. And so if you're wondering, for instance, why the Mustang isn't here, it could be because of the headlights.
Yeah, or it could be the passenger test.
Yeah, one
as
of those
well.
two.
Right.
All right, let me start with the smaller cars. These are the top safety pick pluses. So arguably these are the safest cars that you could buy in terms of small cars, at least in terms of IIHS testing. The Honda Insight, the Hyundai Elantra, the Kia Forte, Kia Niro Hybrid, Kia Niro Plug-in. These are all new. Subaru Crosstrek, Subaru Impreza Wagon, and Subaru WRX. So once again, there's a theme here, right?
Yeah.
All Asian vehicles.
Well, this is interesting because the Impreza and the WRX especially, I mean, they haven't been completely new.
Right.
So they're updated. So they've been on this list for a couple of years. Small SUVs is really interesting. Kona and the new CX-5. By the way, the CX-5 now has a turbo. So that's good news, and we have a review of that on TFL Car channel as well. How about mid-size cars?
Yeah, we've got the Hyundai Sonata, the Kia Optima, the Subaru Legacy, the Subaru Outback, and the Toyota Camry. Lots of Subarus tested this year. Lots of Subarus making the list. So, Subaru has that ad campaign all about safety, really. Basically, it's about love. And, the safety reports do actually substantiate their advertising. Good for Subaru.
The Camry, of course, is one of the best-selling cars of all time.
And, of course, mid-size luxury cars, the Genesis G70 and the Lexus ES. That's a category that's selling into a very, very strong headwind right now. But these two cars are the safest, at least the ones that have been tested this year. How about mid-size SUVs, Andre?
We're going to sound like a broken record here because Hyundai Santa Fe, Kia Sorento, and Subaru Ascent, so familiar brands from this list, made the mid-size SUV list as well. And it's good to see the Ascent is a brand new vehicle, so obviously, that vehicle complies with all the latest safety testing.
Yeah, large cars, one that they've tested in that category, the Toyota Avalon made it, and large luxury cars. And here we have some German vehicles, the BMW 5 Series, the Genesis G80, the Genesis G90, and the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. These are all classic large luxury cars. And you were talking about and asking about the BMW, Andre.
Yes.
Here's one in the mid-size luxury sedan, the Acura RDX, very popular BMW X3, the Mercedes-Benz GLC, and the Mercedes-Benz GLE. And that rounds up our top 57 most safe cars, at least according to the IIHS. And hopefully, as they continue testing throughout the year, we'll see more results and we'll see more American cars on this list, because it is rather shocking that even though they haven't tested every car, that there's only one American car on this entire list and that the American manufacturers were completely shut out. I think there's some hand-wringing going on at Ford, GM, and Chrysler,
Yes.
Dodge, and FCA, don't you?
I think so, so we will do another video, obviously, when an updated list comes out. For example, you guys have been asking about the Jeep Wrangler JL, the new Jeep. Well, that hasn't been tested either. So as soon as that information is available, we will show that and share that.
Yeah, and guys, stay tuned to TFL Car, where we'll be doing another list of the best and worst sellers. That's coming up this weekend. And of course, if you want to dive deep into these, where do you go, Andre?
With TFLcar.com, where Zach, our managing editor, has put all of the data there.
Well, thanks for watching. Remember, check out TFLcar.com for more news, views, and of course, real-world reviews. Thanks for your help, Andre.
Thank you.
See you guys next time. Ciao.
Thanks.